Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Got a couple of announcements before we get started. Announcement number one: we're rolling to Nigeria. Oh man, it's already almost July. It's almost we are 2 days away from July. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say we're rolling to Nigeria next month. Technically not next month, but kind of next month. So August 3rd, we are heading to Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. If you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo, that's DANFO .Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, that's DANFO .Africa to learn more. We will love to host you and have fun in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. Then we're rolling to Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue, Namibia and South Africa in November 7th through the 18th. Then we're going to Sierra Leone December 20th through the 29th. So if you're interested in joining, please visit donfo.africa. We will love to host you. We'll love to have you. We'd love for you to come and join us in Africa. Oh man, my claps. For a great time. I will put the link in the chat room here shortly. Guys, make sure you hit that like button. Again, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you, again, share and subscribe. Let's jump into today's topic. 14th Amendment. Donald Trump says, shout out to Kala in the chat room. The 14th Amendment was intended for the kids of slaves. Black Americans, slaves, and the children of enslaved Africans here in America after slavery to give us citizenship. And it's just odd, like people are upset. You have black people who are upset. Like, why that Donald Trump said this, but why are you offended? I'm trying to figure out why, as a black American, if you're a black American, why would you be upset that Donald Trump said that the 14th Amendment was for the kids of slaves and not for illegal immigrants to come and exploit and abuse? Why would you be upset at that? But what I'm noticing, the same people who are upset about Donald Trump saying that are the same people that whenever you brought up or challenged Barack Obama or even Sleepy Joe Biden to do something specifically for black people, they will shout you down. Again, they will shout you down. If you question Sleepy Joe Biden, Barack Obama when he was in office, what are you going to do specifically for black people? They will shut you down. There's just a segment, a very large segment of black America who just don't want anything specifically for black people outside of handouts. The same black folks who are upset at Donald Trump's comments are the same black folks, i.e. the Black Caucus. Example, the NAACP, who shut down reparations specifically for black people. Like literally the same black folks who are upset at Trump's comments are the same black people, again, NAACP, the Black Caucus. In fact, hold on, let me pull up the video. We gotta pull up the video. Hold on one second. These black folks. Here we go. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. These black folks right here.
I come from a family of aviators. I currently have 10.
Tonight, the leader of California's reparations task force is speaking out after state lawmakers blocked two reparations-related proposals. The California Legislative Black Caucus decided to withhold those bills from moving forward. That led to a big protest at the Capitol over the weekend, as you see here. That's what the video is that you're watching right now. KCRA3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala spoke with the reparations leader.
Yeah, so Ashley, what does she have to say about how this whole session ended over the weekend?
In Golston and Lisa, Camila Moore was the chairwoman of California's Historic Reparations Task Force. That group wrapped up its work last year after spending years studying the effects of slavery, racial discrimination, and its impact on Black Californians. She says she felt betrayed by the Black Caucus after it decided to block two bills she says.
So again, the Black Caucus who blocked these two bills is the same Black Caucus that yelled at you, throwing Roland Martin, screamed at you, yelled at you, shouted you down whenever you asked for something specific for Black people. And I'm going to give my theory why. I'm going to give my theory why here in a second. Let's play this video.
Were fundamental for reparations. Emotions still high after this scene at the state capitol over the weekend.
It's Black people stopping their own people from getting their reparations.
Reparations supporters state capitol over the weekend.
It's Black people stopping their own people from getting their reparations.
Reparations.
There it goes. The same Black people. It's like they don't want you to have anything specifically. And the reason why, and this is not a Black immigrant issue. This is not a Black immigrant issue. But the reason why they're pissed off that Donald Trump said the 14th Amendment was for the kids of slaves is the same reason why they blocked reparations. Is the same reason why they say they can't do anything specifically for Black people, because their base now is Latino, and they don't want to offend the Latinos, the Hispanics. That's why. Because now, by saying Donald Trump saying 14th Amendment was for the kids of slaves, and not for immigrant groups to abuse, that's taking a shot at the Latino community, these ICE deportations, etc. And that is gonna affect the Black Caucus, because that's their base now. So they can't come out and say it because they know they're going to offend their base. If the Black Caucus says, hey, Donald Trump is right, the 14th Amendment was for the kids of slaves, that they're going, the Hispanic Latino community is going to be offended, and they don't want to do that because that's now their base. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. And like I said, this is not a Black immigrant issue. Yeah, you know, our Black immigrant brothers and sisters might be catching some strays, but this is solely a Latino, Hispanic, non-Black Latino Hispanic issue. That's what this is. A2 Max, that's not true. These Black Caucus, the majority of the Black Caucus is what you will refer to as ADOS FBA, period. The majority. You know, we gotta stop playing games. But guys, don't put the link in the chat room. If you guys want to call in, add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Again, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. But yeah, that's my theory. Go ahead, caller.
Hold up, guys.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Afro.
Okay, I'm ready. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you had the show. I was sitting there waiting since 5:00 now. First time I ever on time, and you delayed it a little bit, but that's all. Showings were on. Anyway, yeah, this topic is really explosive, right? The 14th Amendment, right? And I saw Kwame put up the Juan Cat Yak incident. But the thing is, in that case, he and his father were permanent legal residents of the United States. So he made the case, and the Supreme Court vaguely ruled in his favor. So in other words, say, okay, we like it. But that opened up a Pandora's box to, anyone coming over. It's never been questioned. It's like, okay, you come across the border and you're a thing. This is the first time, Donald Trump's administration, the first time this has ever been really questioned, like bringing this to the letter of the law. The law is clearly stated in the 14th Amendment that you cannot be, you or your parents, one generation or two generations, cannot be a citizen of a kingdom, a foreign state, or let's say if a child of an ambassador is born here, that does not make the person a U.S. citizen. You have to be a citizen for a generation in the United States with no ties of affection or loyalty to another foreign entity, kingdom. It says that right there in the 14th Amendment. You got people coming over here with their Mexican flags, waving their Mexican flags and claiming citizen. That's not what it was for. That's insane. You got people coming over here like my Liberian community. They're all in Liberian business. They're all basically claiming, oh yeah, I'm Liberian. I'm like this. I'm this country, like that. And they haven't assimilated into American society, and they got ties to a foreign country. That doesn't entitle you to a citizenship of America. If you basically cut ties with your foreign country, right, live here, assimilate for one generation, yeah, your children have birthright citizenship because they don't have any other ties or allegiance to a foreign state. That's the truth. Anything else is a misnomer. You can't just be a citizen of another country and have allegiance to another country and just automatically grant a U.S. citizen. That cheapens and devalues the citizen. Nowhere in the world is that the case, except for America, but that's changing. Whether for good or bad, I don't know yet, but that's what the law says, So.
All right, go ahead, Afro. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, so this is my take on it. So I think that Trump is setting the stage to overthrow the 14th Amendment because his position is that a birthright, a citizenship, it cannot be. The United States can't have birthright citizenship because then it opens the door for anyone to anchor themselves to just the soil of this country. And though overthrowing the 14th Amendment will affect Black Americans, because initially that amendment was written for the slaves and the children of Black Americans. But the thing is, he wants to get rid of birthright citizenship. So it's interesting times we live in.
All right, go ahead, T. Khalid. Go ahead, T. Unmute yourself, T.
Hey, yeah. I just want to say that this does kill the argument that a lot of these liberals was on these debate panels with us saying black people are next. Because if you read Trump's social media, excuse me, his truth post, and if you looked at his, comments on the Supreme Court, he clearly said the 14th Amendment was for the descendants of black slaves. And also, logically speaking, that's the reason why it came about after the Civil War. They wanted to know what they should do with black people, so they just made them all citizens. I mean, black people fought for this right, man. We fought in the Civil War, died in the Civil War. We did not do this just so
They
two
had
illegals can come over here, have sex, and now their child is a citizen. And also, why it makes no logical sense for America to do that. What was the logical, like? If you listen to the Negro liberal, what is the rationale that two illegal immigrants can come over here and their child have a kid? And anytime you listen to liberals talk about birthright citizenship as opposed to Trump, they always, it's like they never go into Trump's reasoning. They always say it says in the Constitution that anyone born in America is a citizen. Trump is actually going into the context of why the 14th Amendment came about. And it was for after the World War II, they wanted to know what to do with black people, so they made them all citizens. They didn't
Was it
have
World
this
War II or Civil
ideology.
War? Was it
They
World War
didn't
II?
have that. They didn't have this ideology where we're just gonna have a bunch of non-citizens have kids and become American. That makes no, like, seriously, why would they make that amendment out of nowhere? It just makes no sense for that 14th Amendment to just come out of nowhere and
See,
just
see,
be for everybody.
I'm trying to ask you a question. Was it World War II or the Civil War?
Oh, Simple. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Donis, man, what was I cutting you off, bro? I'm sorry, bro. I wasn't even
Yeah,
looking
he
at
kept
my
saying
phone.
World War II. I'm like, World War II.
But hold on, bro. My bad, man. I thought I was being cut off by a panelist, man. I wasn't trying to
No, go ahead.
disrespect you, bro. My bad. No, that was on the Civil War. The Civil. I'm sorry. Did I say World War II? I meant the
Yeah.
Civil War. Yeah. It makes no logical sense. So yeah, I don't want black liberals saying black folks are next. There's absolutely no proof of that, and you can look at Trump's comments and tweets that he even said that the specific purpose of the 14th Amendment is for African Americans, descendants of slaves. And we need to be selfish. And for that alone, we need to mind our own business and let Trump do what he got to do.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Sandman. Unmute yourself.
Hi. Thank you for letting me on there. I personally am not offended by calling it slaves, descendants of slaves, or babies of slaves. However, it could be construed as offensive simply for the fact that these were people, our ancestors that were enslaved. They were human beings of African descent who were enslaved. They were more than just slaves or babies of slaves. They were people that had names that were stripped and cultures that were stripped away from them. You don't see Europeans calling the pilgrims peasants and serfs that illegally migrated and stole the land from the Indians. So, I mean, I personally am not offended by it, but I can see how it could be construed as offensive. As for the 14th Amendment, the thing about that 14th Amendment is it doesn't specifically say it's for slaves in the amendment. And I know that, when you're dealing with a large company, a large organization, or a large country like the United States, if you sway too far away from the standard operating procedure or the rule of law and it start getting too gray, then that's when everything starts to fall apart.
What was the logical reason of the 14th Amendment coming out the Civil War? Tell me the logical breakdown logically, using your brain. Explain why the 14th Amendment came after the Civil War, that they decided to make non-citizens in the sense that just logically explain that. What was the logical rationale for that? Please.
Okay, so to get down to the logical rationale behind that, first you have to start from where did the United States Constitution come from? I believe it's a derivative of Great Britain's constitution. So it's a knockoff of it because, United States or the 13 colonies used to be
Not
under British
necessarily.
rule.
Not necessarily. United States
Okay.
Constitution was the
So
antithesis of the
being
British
that it's a
Constitution.
derivative of the British or the United
The
Kingdom's.
British had a kingdom of monarchy, constitution monarchy. United States basically said this constitution said we recognize no titles of nobility, and it clearly
Yeah,
said
similar to it though.
it was different
If you
than
would look
British.
at the British Constitution and put it next to the United States Constitution, is
There's no
almost like
there's no similarities.
verbatim.
What are you talking
This
about?
is
Well,
gobbledygook, bro.
I can't prove it to you right now, but
Because you can't. It doesn't
that's a
exist,
different
man.
subject. I don't want to get stuck in the minutia. So going back to
Equally,
that,
you want me to
Yeah,
answer?
but hold on. But Miss Salmon, there's no birthright citizenship in Britain.
okay.
So I'm just trying to figure out how.
All
Okay,
right,
go ahead.
so
Go ahead.
the United States was a colony prior to it. The Revolutionary War. It was a colony of the United Kingdom, right? We speak
And
English.
also Spain, France.
Bro, black folks put themselves in a
Okay.
platform to explain nonsense,
So
bro.
this is a colony of the British Kingdom, and
The
for all
13
intents and
colonies were, but
purposes,
there's also Mississippi. There was also Florida, and there was also the territories like in parts of Western Maryland was still under the French. And then you had Canada was actually. You had the Louisiana territory. You had California. All that. The Constitution was
became under the rule of the United States.
Miss Salmon, do me a favor. You got to. I'm trying to follow you, man, but you got to land.
Oh yeah, I was about to land just now, but you guys keep interrupting.
Okay, go ahead.
Right,
No one interrupt.
Okay, yeah. So my landing is being that the British United Kingdom were the first to outlaw slavery, and not only outlaw it, by their nation, but worldwide. So they call it like a crime against humanity, and the United States was forced to follow suit. That's an indication that they follow the rules and the tenets of the European colonies or the United Kingdom. Therefore, it doesn't say specifically in the United States Constitution that the birthright citizenship is for slaves. It says if you're a human being that was born in the United States, you have birthright citizen. Period. Point
So
blank.
out of nowhere, they just decided, hey, let's just make all legal immigrants who have kids citizens. It just came out of just nowhere. Just boom. Let's
Doesn't
just
matter.
make this to them. It makes no sense, bro.
It doesn't
Why
matter.
do black people do this, bro?
It doesn't matter.
It's like you're intentionally being dumb, bro.
It doesn't
Use your
matter.
brain. After the Civil War, they freed the slaves and then they made them all citizens. Why all this mental gymnastics? Well, you gotta look at the British. You sound silly.
All right.
Gotta look at that.
Tell me this.
You
Do you
just look at
believe in
what
the
happened.
rule of law? Do you believe in the rule of law?
Because
Do you believe in the rule of law?
it's like
All right,
black
so tell
people
me
twist
this.
themselves in a pretzel to sound stupid.
Tell me this. If you had a pound of marijuana, illegal marijuana in your trunk, and without your consent, the police officers searched your vehicle and locked you up and tried to accuse you or convict you of transporting marijuana, would you go into that court of law and say that those police officers illegally
This has nothing to
searched
do with
your
the
vehicle?
conversation. And y'all, I gotta
Yeah,
bounce. Somebody go. I gotta swim my girl. But this is ridiculous.
I gotta pass the mic. Go ahead, Vovo Ranch. Unmute yourself, Vovo.
Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Let me just start off by saying this. This delineation movement, we gonna have to delineate from some Black Americans too, y'all. That got weird ideology. I'm sorry, like that's what I'm not even trying to be funny or nothing, done. But these Black Americans that's just like can't comprehend, or they just late to the party. They on the slow bus. Sorry, bro, you got to go over there. If you're just not getting it, it's either you're doing that on purpose, or you're just not smart enough to get it though. Either way, we ain't got time. We just ain't got time. We did too much work. You know what I mean?
Why don't you just admit that you're wrong? How about that?
If I'm wrong, I can admit that. Vovo Ranch is the type of guy that can admit that he's wrong if he's wrong. Because I'm here to learn, I'm here to teach. If I'm wrong, I take it as I learned something. So now I can go off and teach that what I learned. I can go off and say I was wrong there, but I learned that, and now I can teach it somewhere
Well,
else.
the federal court judges disagree with you,
You
so I
won't let
guess
me.
you're more
You don't
intelligent
even
than
know what
me as
I'm gonna
well.
say. You don't even know what I'm gonna say. You don't even know what am I saying? You don't even know what I'm saying because you're so anxious to speak. You're stepping over yourself. You're tripping over yourself. Anyway, he didn't say slave kids, he said slave babies. That's not offensive. I don't know who would take that as offensive. Trump know black culture. Trump understands that we don't find that offensive. Slave babies. I'm a slave baby. I'm a descendant of slaves. Thank you. I hope you removed them. That guy is just totally out of the loop. He's just an airhead. But anyway, it's for the descendants of slaves. That's right. You shouldn't be able to come to this country and just come over here pregnant. You're 13 months pregnant, and you come over here and you give birth, and now the baby is a citizen. That's not fair. That's not even logical, and that's a loophole that they're trying to close. It says that you have to be a permanent resident of the United States. What do they mean when they say that? You have to be a citizen of the United States.
You got to be here legally.
Legally, yeah. If you're here on a visa is a visit. That's what a visa is. It's a visit. You may be here on a work visa, a work visit, meaning that once your visit runs out, you're going back. You may be here on an education visa, meaning a visit. Once that runs out, you're supposed to go back home to your homeland. You're here on a visit. If you're here on a visit, you shouldn't be able to have a baby here and your baby becomes a citizen. That doesn't make sense. If you're here on official business from another government, if you're here as as a diplomat or as a soldier or as on some type of you're here for work or something like that, H-1B1 visa, you're here on some type of work, you're here on official business from another government. You still have allegiance to that government. You shouldn't be able to have a baby here and your baby becomes a citizen. That's anchor baby shit. That's what they're trying to stop. That's what they're trying to stop. And that's a good thing. Trump is right. This was meant for the descendants of slaves. The reason why it's so much hate behind it and all that, because at the end of the day, it's very simple. These people do not believe in their homelands. They do not believe in their people. They do not want to live there. That's just plain and simple. That's just plain and simple. I'm in my house right now. I leave every day. I go to work. I go to the grocery store. I go run errands. I go and visit family. I look forward to coming back to my home. I don't protest not to go back home. These people don't want to go back to their homeland. That's what this is about. And this is outrageous. Maybe if they invested all of this energy they have for America, these people are flying foreign flags and protesting not to go back to where that foreign flag is their home. Not they're protesting not to go back to where that flag is attached to, the people that flag is attached to, the land that flag is attached to, the story that flag is attached to. They act like that's something that's outrageous. Go back to my homeland of this flag that I'm flying. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm glad that Trump is doing this, and this is what I voted for. Appreciate you letting me speak.
Okay, so if I may come in real quickly, thank you for having me once again. This subject is an area of my expertise, somebody who studied constitutionality, especially in the Western Hemisphere. First fact, for the past 200 years, it has been a standard practice for all republics that wherever you're born, that's where you receive your citizenship. On a secondary level, wherever your parents are from, you may have an open path to that citizenship of that parent. I'll give you an example. If a parent is of U.S. descent or U.S. citizenship and is married to a Colombian, the kid is born in Colombia, but is also going to be a U.S. citizen. So it's going to have a dual citizenship. That's a factual standardship throughout the last 200 years in any analysis.
So that's not. Hold on, caller. Hold on, caller. So that's not true. Not all countries have birthright citizenship. That's not true.
All countries have it.
That's
all
not
countries
true.
that have constitutional republic. I can prove it right now. I can prove it right now.
In fact, hold on. It did so. Not every country. Hold on, caller. Caller, hold on. And not even that. Not all countries even allow dual citizenship.
Okay.
So that's just not true.
Again, you're incorrect, Prince. I can prove it right now. We can go here in the Western Hemisphere, at least in these 35 nations. That is called the North, Central, South, and Caribbean. All those constitutions have birthright citizenship. We can go one by one, and you will see that you're wrong. In the questions of Africa or Asia or Europe, sure, we can have another discussion on those particular regions. But I'm specifically referring to the Western Hemisphere standardization of citizenship. And not only that,
do you believe in La Raza? Do you believe in La Raza?
But adding to the fact that the implementation of the human rights at the end of the war in the last 74 years has also, for those countries that have ratified the human rights, have established birthright citizenship as a fundamental human right. That is another adding into that question.
Can I enter a debate with you? Do you believe in reconquista in Rasa?
That's irrelevant to the point. Let's stick to the point that we're talking about.
That means you have a biased opinion. You see things in a certain way. You know, you want open citizenship because you want your people to overtake this country that you didn't build and become the majority.
Okay.
And this with that ideology is only America. They do not go to Canada with that. They're not in Brazil with that.
They don't go to Mexico.
That's not true.
With that.
That is completely untrue. So first,
some of us watch the news all over. We're not seeing any protests in Canada. We're not seeing this happening. We're not seeing Puerto Ricans go to Brazil and talk like this.
Puerto Ricans are
trying to go to North Korea with that.
Like this. No, it's only in America.
Hold on. There are so many things wrong what both of you just commented. In every level, base, etc. Look, let's go technical. Let's go on this technical conversation. Fact: your country became independent from the British. The Constitution was ratified in 1784, correct?
87.
Word solid.
84. 1784.
He's going away from
the Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna even keep it more simple.
Hey, real quick, Ditso, real quick. Colombia does not have birthright citizenship. I just wanted to share that with you. Colombia does not. But go ahead.
Can you do you have the Constitution?
Go ahead and finish. I'll pull it up, but go ahead and finish.
Okay,
like I said, the majority of countries in the world do not allow birthright citizenship. But go ahead. This will finish your thought.
That isn't true. We'll bring up the Constitution of Colombia in a moment that you brought it up. Okay, so let's put it this simple. We all became independent from Europe, right? Spain, England, France, etc.
You said we helped you get independent from Europe.
No, I did not say that.
Oh no, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, sure. Let me restate what I said. I said, we all here in the Western Hemisphere became independent from Europe. Spain, England, France, Portugal, etc. Okay? So at that moment, we became independent. We fought our wars. We won. And what the hell we're going to do? We have to set up our nations. So at that moment, the construction of the constitutional republics as such took a series of standardized concepts, such as division of power, separation of state and church, a base level of Bill of Rights that all these countries establish, freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of wrongful persecution, due process, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so in the matters of citizenship, and in fact, as I'm speaking, I'm gonna pull up the Constitution of Colombia.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. This conversation is not about none of
No,
that.
no. To counter the point that he did in that sense.
Fumble all over the place. It's really cringy to watch you go through this right now. You're trying to. It's not working. What you're saying is not working. What you're saying is not. You're just stumbling all over the place. You're just fumbling and stumbling. That's what you're doing. You can't stay on the topic because we're right. You can't.
I'm challenging from the basis knowledge of how citizenship was applied in independent nations, and in fact, Prince was the one who came up with
Hold up. The question is tonight is about what the interpretation of the 14th Amendment and what that applies.
In the United States.
Let me say this. Let me say all due respect, brother. The whole thing is, like I said tonight, and I wish everybody the best. I wish you the best. I wish your people the best, and everything like that. Oh yeah, I wish you But the thing is, though, you cannot basically build anything based on a lie. You can't build it based on a lie. When the country of the United States, right, basically is whether you consider legitimate, do you consider the country of America and its owners is taking of Mexican territory and its manifest destiny, coast to coast, sea to shining sea? Do you think that's bad or illegitimate, or you think that's just?
What? What does that have to do with the question of citizenship?
This has to do with it because I noticed that a lot of people.
We ain't talking about a lot of people though.
The demographics. The core argument is that America. They always say America's stolen land. Do you believe America's stolen land?
The way y'all can't stay on the topic is just outrageous.
Okay, look, let's stay on the topic.
You can't answer that question. You can't answer that question. See,
no, because it's currently on the topic. It's not on topic.
If you believe that, I would say, okay, you got a good argument. Argue that point. But don't try to take that argument, right? That argument, right? And mix it in with this argument about the 14th Amendment. They're two separate things.
So, just to correct you, there's only 35 countries that allows unrestricted birthright citizenship in the whole world.
We're not talking about other countries, though.
No. I'm just trying to correct. He said earlier on all the countries.
All of them.
No. We're trying to get the facts right. No, I'm not talking about. I'm just trying to get the facts right. So there's only 35 countries in the whole world that has unrestricted birthright citizenship, and I can list them. And there's also 40, another 40 of them that have birthright citizenship, but it's kind of restricted. It's like a double level. So all the countries have some type of birthright legislation, but you got to differentiate the one which is jus solis. It's a Latin word, which means when you were born on the soil, and the one that's jus sanguinis.
Sir,
when you have the blood.
That's what I was referring to. I didn't want to bring.
So that's two different things, and also. Not
sir, we're not talking.
Hey, Bobo, I'm not talking to you. Shut up, man.
You're not.
Shut up, man. I'm talking. I'm just bringing the facts.
Hey, hold on, Bo. Let's Setu finish. I'm trying to hear this too. Go ahead, Setu.
So, I can go ahead and list the 35 countries that has birthright citizenship in all around the world, right? If you want me to go to the list, I can do it right now.
Yeah, the majority of them are on the Western Hemisphere. You'll see on those nations that you're about to cite, and I'll cite them right now for you. You'll see places like Colombia, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, Mexico, Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina. All those countries. Am I correct? Did I mention at least a few of those lists?
Yes, all the countries in the Western Hemisphere, like in America, North and South America, have birthright citizenship except Colombia.
Colombia does have it, particularly in its article.
It's restricted.
It's
a double level. You like the double level comes when you are born in a country and one of your parents also was born in that same country.
Sure, we can debate article. we could debate Article 13 of the Constitution of Colombia another
No,
day.
I'm just telling you
Sure.
the current like regulations.
Yeah, but as you see, the point I was making, you just confirmed it. I said on the Western Hemisphere, the majority of our countries have birthright citizenship. It was a standardization due to the process of independence. In the case of Colombia, there's the case of Article 13, which it clearly tells us that a person born in Colombia becomes a citizen of Colombia. But you also have what you mentioned, the blood relation that can have
you have
the
to be
other
born
option.
from a parent that is born in Colombia. So you
There
cannot just be
has
born.
been a few changes on that in the recent times. I can bring up the Supreme
No,
Court.
I'm talking about
okay.
2025 right now. So that's what I'm giving you right now.
Yeah, I know the Supreme Court decisions in Colombia. That's another discussion. And that being said, but the point being here is that in the majority of the standardization of constitutional republics, birthright citizenship is a standard. And what Bobo said was completely and utterly wrong. In the case of the United States, sure, we can have the discussion of what happened with the ratification of the Constitution up to the Dred Scott, which is about 70, 80 years from 1784 to 1857, that period, who was considered citizenship. Then the event of the Civil War and the implementation of the 14th Amendment to then, because South lost the Civil War, then slavery ended, and here we go. What happens with all those people who were slaves at that moment? Are they going to become citizens? We kick in with the 14th Amendment. And that particular analysis, in that sense, is a historical correction that happened at that time. And sure, we can say technically 14th Amendment responded to the necessity of providing citizenship in the United States to those people who were slaves, free slaves, or freed up slaves after the Civil War and their descendants.
Yes, but the way the United States has the law is like insane. I think it's like the only country that's the way they do, right? Because it's insane that people just travel with a visitor visa. They will travel, come to the United States and give birth, and then stay in this country because they have a child that's a citizen, and then trying to climb down the line to become citizen further down the line. So that's like insane.
Adding to the fact that United States has. Hold on, just to conclude this. Adding to the fact that the United States ratified the International Convention on Political and Social Rights, which establishes that, and this is a ratification through the Congress of the United States, that establishes that the compromise that the United States takes upon because of this convention is that birthright citizenship is a fundamental right. And they did this as an agreement, an international agreement through ratification of Congress.
Yeah, but those are globalists, and that's all changing, though. You know that, right? The people globally.
We know United States talks from the mouth out of human rights, but on the House interior.
Okay, let me hold on. Ditto. Let me tell. Hold on. I guess you haven't realized what human rights stands for, right? Human rights is an acronym, right? H stands for hunger. U stands for unrest. M stands for malnutrition. A stands for anarchy. N stands for neglected Negroes. That's human rights.
Yeah.
We talk about human rights.
Look, man. Funny and all, completely and utterly incorrect.
Where are you finding these guys?
It was a nice joke, but
Trump was specific. It's for slave babies. It's not for anchor babies. Period. That's basically what he's saying. It's for slave babies. If you're not a legal resident of the United States, you shouldn't be able to come over here and have a baby and anchor yourself to this country.
Then Trump shouldn't be president. And Trump shouldn't be a citizen because he's an anchor baby.
How so?
Yo, his grandfather was born here. He has 2 generations.
How so? Trump's family is a migrant family.
Wait. One of y'all are making a mistake. Y'all both making a mistake. Y'all tripping over each other to make the mistake.
His grandfather became a citizen. You understand?
Yeah.
His father was a citizen. that makes him
Yeah.
by birthright a citizen. That's a difference.
Right.
No. He wasn't
Yeah.
born in the United States.
Yeah.
He was naturalized as a citizen.
Yeah, he was
Therefore, by the logic of Bobo,
naturalized and legalized. That makes you a
again,
resident.
by the logic of Bobo, Trump should not even be
That
president.
ain't Bobo's logic.
He's an anchor baby.
That ain't Bobo's logic. That ain't Bobo's logic, and you
That's
know
your
that's
logic.
not true. And you know that's not true. You having a hard time because you don't want to live in your country. So now you're doing all this rigmarole
Bro,
and all these mental.
Can we skip the xenophobia? Can we skip that because you don't know shit about.
You don't want to live in your country. That's why you're putting words
Bobo,
in my mouth.
Bobo, I'm in my country and I fight in my country and I lived in the United States.
All these mental gymnastics and all of this shit. That's not Bobo's logic. I just told you it's not for anchor babies. Trump wouldn't be an anchor baby. Trump's parents were citizens. They came over here legally.
Yeah, they became citizens because they were born of an anchor grandfather.
No, they were
naturalized. Yes,
naturalized citizenship.
But again, all Europeans.
What is it, Juan Kim?
So what we're saying is, so you can't come over here illegally and have a child, and that child become a citizen. But if you come here legally, get your citizenship status, and yeah, I mean you're good.
In the same way,
He gets that. He 100% gets that.
Look,
he's just an evil person that likes to lie and
why you gotta be evil, man? This so ain't evil, man. Come on, this is
100%, bro. 100%.
Look.
How can you not get that?
Oh, I gotta let me pass the mic. Go ahead, Ola. Mute yourself, Ola.
Oh, thank you, Dad. I've been listening to this. I've been listening to this thing since. I think most of these guys that claim Indians, Choctaw, you see, Trump just defined it right now. That birthright is for slaves they brought from Africa. The white man knows what they're talking about. Don't know damn Indian or Choctaw. The birthright of that 14th Amendment is from the Africans they brought from Africa and their descendants. The ones that they could not become citizens that they treated so very badly is the children of those ones they made that law for. And those are the ones that become citizens right now. I think it's good that Trump finally defined this thing. A lot of people are becoming to some elite Africans were coming to United States even to abuse it. It now become an elite type of something for people. Some people in Africa who have money, they will just send their girlfriend or their wife to come and have birth in America and flash it in our eyes. Like, my child is born in the United States. You understand me? You know, it's good that they banned it and they wanted to ban it because some of them were even giving birth. They can't even pay the hospital bill. You understand me? You know, there's no way you can be a citizen in any place whereby one of you are not citizen. You understand? My children are citizens of European Union, but because their mom is from that zone. So there's no way you can citizen without not you become a citizen. That 14th Amendment is for black people that they took from Africa that they brought there. They're the ones who owns that right. I understand the Mexico can be mad. I understand you can't push them off. If you deport them tomorrow, they're coming back the next day because they know all the loopholes how to come in. But I think we should just respect that. The other guy say, "Oh, that look, stop just Black America. You're not Black America, my friend. You are whatever it is, Colombia, whatever. I forget the other side." The next thing I want to see is the real Black American become president of the United States. Let them shine their shine. They'll be behind the scene job for too long. Make people rich, make other foreigners rich, but they themselves are not getting rich of anything. So let them become the real president. Let them become the people getting rich also of other things also. I support them. I support this bill for them. You understand me? Because it's dangerous. You just fly and give birth and just take it. At the end of the day, the Mexicans, whatever, the other, they will flood that place. The real people that fought hard, that faced this white people that was being actually treated badly in that country, there will be nowhere to be found. There will be. I understand why they were shouting that you people not seeing us. You people try to vanish out of this place. We suffer for these things. You know, for me, I wanted to, I support them for their right, and it's their right. There's nothing anybody can do about it. If you're if you're for Colombia, you're Colombia. If you're whatever black for Colombia, become black for Colombia. All this Costa Rica guy, that guy that is trying to be, if your indigenous is Costa Rica, be in Costa Rica, you're not Native American, well, United States native. So start spinning with your
You're just making a lot of
Latinos.
noise.
Hold on. Sometimes you want to sound so intellectual in the way you want to explain this. I wonder what kind of school you actually went to. I would like to know that.
Ola,
You know?
I would school you in.
Whose school do you? No, I want to know your school.
Look,
Whose school?
Ola,
Whose school?
what
Which
you just
school,
said,
man?
what
No,
you
no,
just
which
said
school-
is
which school,
something
young man?
completely
Hold on.
ignoring.
Ola was just making noise.
Hold on. Which school do you went to, young man? Because
Ola, you're just making noise.
can
I'm
you
not even
read-
gonna
can you read the whole
entertain on the
book? Hold on.
bullshit that
Can-
you spoke.
Because you read with internet, right? I read.
You
during
do
my
not
time
get to
without
determine
internet.
who is American
You
or who is
want to be
native
so intellectual.
or what is the
Tell me,
history on
what
this
is your,
area.
okay, what is your discipline? What is
Man,
your
let's pass
discipline?
the
I want to
mic.
know what is your discipline. I read without the internet. I will not go and be Google things. I read by studying books. You understand me? So you want to talk because you are the Google master.
You
but
need to
maybe the school you went to-
reread your books.
Hold on, because the school you
Or
went to,
go to
you were
classes.
going for Google. You were going for Google. I put big books down. You understand me? I put big books down.
What's the title of the book you read, Ola?
I did my project by going to library to one library
Ola.
to be reading books.
What's the title of the book you read, Ola?
You need to.
Hold on. Oh, bro. Let me tell you one thing. I study health sciences. I read anatomy.
No, just give me one title. One title.
Hold on. I read anatomy and physiology. I read kinesiology. These are big books.
No. Tell me the title. Like I want to hear the title.
What title of my school or my first degree?
No, of one of the books you read. Just one book, one title.
Okay, in my biological book, I read anatomy and physiology and kinesiology. We call under sport injuries.
Who wrote it? Who wrote it?
Man, you can't tell me who wrote that book.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. It's a simple question.
Hold on. You talk about. I was out of university in 1994, so you might be a very young man.
I just want.
I gotta pass the mic. Go ahead, Yamoja.
Hi, Dinus and panel and
Hello.
chat. These are very interesting times. I was born on an Air Force base in Europe to American parents, Black American parents. But this is so I have birthright citizenship in that country that I haven't exercised yet. And in fact, I was in the process of doing that. But I'm going to dial it back a bit and just sit and wait and see what happens here.
Well, which country?
Spain.
Do they offer birthright citizenship in Spain?
If you were born there on
it's restricted, you got to claim it after 18 years.
Let me finish. I got this. I got it.
So you weren't born in Spain.
I got this. I was born in Spain to an American soldier.
Were you born? Oh, you born in a Spanish hospital? Or you born on a U.S. base?
In a Spanish hospital. I don't need the mansplaining. I can do this. You guys are cutting me off before I can even finish.
Yeah, but your parents were American citizens, so that makes you an American. You know, make you a Spanish.
Let her finish, please. Let her finish. Golly,
Why
go ahead.
women don't call in because all of the mansplaining. You don't think I know my process? You don't. I'm coming here to share it to say that there might be other Americans
What you did
going
say
through
two
the
things.
same thing and to caution them because there are bases in Germany. There are bases quite a few places that have this treaty with the U.S. Not all places have it, but if you were born to a military personnel, so when I was born, I actually was born with the dual citizenship. But because my dad was a soldier, the U.S. Department of Defense did not allow him to get my passport from that country. So I have the option now, after 12 months being in country, of getting the passport. It's just a simple process. But I'm holding back on it until I understand how dual citizenship is even going to be held here, because that's been in discussion as well since Trump's been in office.
I have dual citizenship. I have Venezuelan.
I got triple citizenship.
Quadruple.
Okay,
Dinah, you got
The only thing you have to remember is when you travel outside the United States, make sure you use your U.S. passport, because if
That's not Kala. That's not true. That's not true. I travel. I got 3 passports, Kala. I just got back.
There's people now stuck in Dubai.
Nah, Kyle, that's not. Who stuck in Kyle? Hold on. Kyle, who stuck in Dubai? Put the link in the chat room. Go ahead, Moja.
Okay.
I'll put
Yeah.
it.
All right, let me pass it back to you. Go ahead, Moja.
So thank you. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. So we just have to watch things and follow along. I'm not going to do that. It was on my radar for 2026 to go do the 12 months, come back with the passport. I won't do it. And in fact, there's a form that I'm going to start keeping in my wallet that indicates that I'm a U.S. citizen born abroad, because my passport names the country that I was born in. So I don't want any confusion, because I've gone to Mexico before and came back, and the person I was with actually had a green card. They were Nigerian. I got held up. He got pushed forward because I traveled with my passport only, which said Spain. So then I had the questions of where and whatever. And the guy that was interviewing me knew the base. I said the name of the base. Okay, then that made his radar go down. So it's a tricky time, a very tricky time. We just I understand what the 14th Amendment was, but some of us have some special circumstances. So we just need to keep our eyes open.
Okay. Let me pass let me pass the Invisible Man first, then I'll pass it to Ditso, then you vote. Go ahead, Invisible Man. Unmute yourself. Invisible Man, unmute yourself.
So the 14th Amendment historically was passed with respect to making those children of the enslaved citizens. At that point, there was no international body that was conferred with. So I don't understand where this guy from South America, wherever he's from, gets the idea that there was some type of agreement or an international treaty whereby the 14th Amendment was involved in. So when they look at this, and I'm an attorney, so when they look at the debate of how this is going to be resolved, they're going to look at things that were going on at the time in 1866, and then eventually when this was passed in 1868. Volvo, I agree with him on a lot of things, and I agree with him on this one as well. At that point, there were no immigrants in this country, and you're talking about 13 colonies here. You're talking about 13 states, rather. You're not talking about anything, not even west of those 13 states. So when you look at who was here,
exactly,
there were only three groups of people that were here. There were Europeans, there were Africans, and there were natives. The discussion now when you fast forward to today, everybody's going to take into consideration what came after that. But if they look at what was going on when the legislation was passed and the intent of those who were debating it at that point, it's going to be clear that it was for those kids who were of enslaved parents. I'll leave it there.
And also, one more thing I want to add to that.
Hold on, it was my turn.
No, this was turned out. Pass the bubble, then you, Kyle.
Okay, to answer Invisible Man first, no, I never mentioned there was an international body at the moment of ratification of the 14th Amendment. That that International Convention on Political and Social Rights was ratified until 92 of last century. That's what I'm referring to on the further sense. As a fellow colleague, well, I'm a lawyer, but not of common law. I'm a lawyer of normative law, or Latin American law in that sense. So the first distinction we have to make and clear on that is I never said it was an international convention on that moment. I'm referring to the whole context in that sense. The second aspect, and here's interesting, and I want to bring it up back to subject. From 1784 of the ratification of the Constitution of the United States, going through Dred and Scott in 1857, who were considered U.S. citizens? That's the first question. And the second question, what the hell do you mean there were no migrants? All Europeans that were here by the time the Revolution of Independence
but
constituted a migrant invader force.
I did say, wait a minute, I did say Europeans. So,
Okay, so
I'm including them. And so that argument is specious.
would you agree that those people that were there by the time those 13 colonies rebelled? Hold on, I'm asking Invincible Man real quickly.
Hold on.
Would you agree? Give me a moment to ask.
It's not your turn yet, man. Come on.
Invincible Man, would you agree that by the time the revolution happened here in the United States and ended in 1784, the populations that were living on the 13 colonies, the different ethnical groups, that those who were of European descent and were living in the 13 colonies received citizenship above anyone else without any further consideration to the other ethnical groups that were in that moment in those 13 colonies? Yes or no?
That has nothing to do with the 1868 14th Amendment. So I'm not going to answer that question. I will tell you this.
Why doesn't
it has nothing to do with it. I mean,
so
listen, my great grandfather fought in the American Revolution, and I have a great grandfather that fought in the Civil War. Okay, it has nothing to do with the American Revolution.
So to you, from 1784 to the end of the Civil War, those almost 90 years, the people who were
I have already answered who was here. Europeans, those of West African descent, and those who are Native American. I gotta go because I gotta see my girl. So I'm out. You guys discuss this.
Just to conclude on this point,
he's trying to incorporate the Native Americans into his grand thing of taking over the country. You didn't build this country, bro. You didn't build this country. You understand that?
I built my people,
neither did you.
as well as yours. We built this continent.
Oh, you can't show me one thing your people built.
No, you did.
Look, can we skip the xenophobia and the pseudo nationalism and imperialism of this conversation?
No, you didn't build nothing.
No, where you come from ain't built now. That's why you coming over the border and trying to fight for it.
Bobo,
what are you talking about?
I know that you have. Look, I'm going to address this just once. I understand that you have a bias and a xenophobic bias that you're not even realizing in your conversation. It is xenophobic.
No, it is. No, it is.
It is clearly xenophobic.
Let me respond to that. Am I lying? Where you come from is not built now.
First, what is the current population?
That's the reason why you're running to the border.
How many people are we living in Latin America? What is the population in Latin America divided into 33 nations? 660 million people. We more than double the population of the United States.
Okay.
The issues of irregular. Okay. How much of that population and what are the reasons of undocumented irregular migration? You call illegal migration towards your country.
Drug wars. There's the infrastructure.
Who made the drug war?
Ain't nobody making no drug war.
Your country, right? From Nixon onwards.
No.
It's your country's fault that we have a drug war, and you use the United Nations through 3 international accords. So at least take a little bit of accountability of the fuck ups of your country.
Take accountability because y'all not handling your business. Y'all are left to your own devices. You don't have to kiss the white man's ass. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want to do in your country.
Okay.
That's part of being strong. That's part
so
of being
why did your country spend over $500 million in Colombia, in Plan Colombia, over $1 billion in Plan Merida? No, I'm sorry, Bobo, but the whole base of your argument is so flawed, so skewed that it makes it a senseless one.
Hold on, guy. Let you go, your Mojo.
Yeah,
You
I
asked
want
me
to
about-
ask Ditso, what is he trying to prove here? What are you saying the 14th Amendment applies to natives, blacks, and whites? What are you saying here?
Okay, so first, the 14th Amendment is a correction of the grave error the founding fathers of the United States made and not abolishing slavery at the get-go. That created the condition from the ratification of the Constitution up to the Civil War that you had this notion, this whole weird mess up notion of who were supposed to be citizens of the United States, added to the fact that at the same time of period, you almost added almost the 50 states that you have currently in your area, plus other territories such as Puerto Rico or American Samoa, the Virgin Islands, etc. So Hawaii, for example, added to that fact of your expansionism, the lack of vision of your founding fathers of not eliminating the slavery. The 14th Amendment came in to respond that. But since the 14th Amendment responded in majority to shit, we have a whole bunch of slaves. What are we going to do now that slavery is abolished? That came to respond that. But when you apply an amendment of that nature to a constitution, it's erga omnes. It means it's applied to everyone, and that has been ratified in eventual cases, such as I would have to bring up the case. I'll have to look it up right again. It was a case about a Chinese migrant.
That guy, that man,
and read it though. Read it. You're a lawyer.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I have it in my head, but
all right. So let's do this. So while you pull it up, let me pass it to Quincy. Go ahead, Quincy.
He was a legal resident. You know,
go ahead, Quincy.
Oriental exclusive.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Quincy.
Hey, real quick. So I didn't catch any much of what just happened there, but I did catch the beginning of the show, and I want to say you mentioned about how our black politicians don't want to piss off Hispanics, right?
Correct.
And the CBC doesn't represent. They don't represent black Americans. Collection of politicians who represent their constituents in their districts, and across the country in their districts, it's a lot of Latinos, right?
Correct.
So that's why you had over in LA where the CLBC shot down the damn the reparations. It's because they didn't want to piss off their Latino voters.
But that's what I said at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in agreement. I'm just bringing it back to CBC because people think that the CBC represent us, but they don't. And this one last thing, man. All my life, I'm 42, man. All my life, I've been told that politicians can't openly advocate for black people because then they lose white people, right? But now it's kind of like it's blatant obvious that they would not only have they been caving to the racism of white people, they are now caving to the racism of Hispanics too, because now suddenly they can't do nothing for us because they don't want to piss off Hispanics. So I know y'all probably done went all the way around the mulberry bush on some other stuff since in the last 40 minutes, but I just want to throw that out there, man.
So real quickly, I provided the Supreme Case Court. I said, yeah, I provided this already on it. There was the United States versus Wong Keymark in 1898. That case actually answers thoroughly the question of who was.
Man, shut your mouth, man. Go ahead.
Wasn't he a legal resident though? I mean,
Yeah.
That. Read it, man. Let him kill himself. Y'all talk too much. Oh my goodness, he's gonna shoot himself back.
So in that sense,
read it.
Again, Bobo. Let me put it very simple. This particular case told us, and this was after the 14th Amendment, that basically anybody born in the United States is a U.S.
citizen.
Hold on, did so. You got to read it, so because there was something in there that was.
Come on, counselor.
All right.
Come on, counselor. Aren't you a lawyer?
All right, let's go. Well, let's go step by step. Decision. United States versus Wong Keymark, 169 U.S. 649 1898. United States versus Wong Keymark, number 18. argued March 5th, 1897, decided March 28th, 1898. 169 U.S. 649 syllabus. A child born in the United States of parents of Chinese descent who at the time of the birth are subjects of the Emperor of China but have a permanent domicile and residence in the United States and are there carrying on business and not employed in any diplomatic. Yeah, residency does not interfere the modern concept of illegality or
He
legality.
went through a legal process to be a resident. He was a resident. He wasn't just someone who ran across the border.
Not somebody ran across. You have permanent domicile, permanent residence. Domicile means you live here.
And what happens with a lot of the undocumented people who are entering the United States and maintaining grades of permanent residency in the United States?
No, they have.
You have a problem with
no,
that.
They have it. No, they're here illegally. Did so? Come on, man.
Being there, what you call illegally, does not exclude the fact that they are being resident of a particular area of the United States.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
No, that's
really easy to handle, y'all. They're really easy to handle. All you gotta do is let them hang themselves. They're really easy to handle.
Hold on, guys. Let me read this part. Chinese persons born out of the United States, remaining subjects of the Emperor of China, and not having become citizens of the United States, are entitled to the protection of and owe allegiance to the United States, so long as they are permitted by the United States to reside here.
Yeah.
So
they went through a process.
Again,
there we go right there.
What was that you just read?
That the same case.
So we see this answers something point to the point. Does the 14th Amendment apply to everybody? Yes, it does.
Before you argue, have legal status.
Did the 14th Amendment apply to everybody in the United States? Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
The conditions of undocumented, or what you guys call illegal versus legal,
they are illegal.
Is a distinction
There's no such thing undocumented. They're illegal.
Yeah,
again,
you don't follow a law.
Again,
that law. Therefore, you are doing something that is illegal.
The semantic game of illegality.
Look, if you rob a bank, you could say
the semantical. Hold on. Precisely what you just did, Calio.
If you knock off
entering a country undocumented is not equal to generalizing and saying everybody's a criminal. That's where the main problem xenophobia starts in the United States. That what you're doing by the semantic is applying an overall rule and saying,
hey, hold on, I gotta pass to my Yamoji. You got 30 seconds. I gotta pass to a random independent. Go ahead, Yamoji.
Okay, so where you from? Colombia?
No, Costa Rica.
Okay, Costa Rica. Okay,
Costa Rica, Venezuela.
What's the process for me to be recognized as a legal resident in Costa Rica? I'm an American citizen.
Look, I'm not defending undocumented or illegal.
Can you just answer?
I'm just saying
about the process
in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, for example, if you marry with a Costa Rican, you have a process of two to 3 years in order to submit your papers of naturalization and of marriage in that sense. At least the marriage has to last a minimum of 2 years.
Okay, what's the other process outside of marriage?
Outside of marriage, basically you go to migration, you request the naturalization papers, anywhere between 6 months to a year. That process goes into.
What happens if you get caught in Costa Rica without that process? You just go there and chill on vacation, you never leave when you stay there for 3 years. What happens to you?
For example, if we find somebody who's undocumented, we first provide them due process. Let's be clear with that. We provide those people with due process, and we try to avoid that. Yes, in some occasions, but most of us have demanded our state not to treat these people as criminals. Sure, if you're undocumented and for whatever reason there is, we first find out the reason, we provide due process to those persons, and if we find criminality, yes, you get kicked out. just like anybody. That's the logical steps to take. But your country right now,
I gotta pass the mic. I gotta pass. Let me pass the mic.
Let me just say, your country is behaving like a fucking tyrant that is doing things in its own shit.
I gotta pass the mic. A random independent. Go ahead, random independent. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Good evening. What's up? So y'all just talking about I don't know. This all seem to be getting kind of ganged on. I just joined, so I'm not 100% sure of everybody's opinion. It sounds like Bobo is saying that the 14th Amendment does not apply to everybody, other than it was intended to apply to only the children of previous slaves, and it had been
slave babies. That's what I'm saying.
Slave babies. Okay, and Yamoja, I think she was the one asking about what they would do in his country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
and
cool.
that there are processes around the world. There are processes that every country has. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So for the emotion thing, I don't think looking at what other countries do dictates what the Constitution actually means. I don't think that's a good way to look at it. Vovo, for yours, the intention wasn't the only intention. That could have been the inception or the foundation of it. But during the debates, they specifically said it wasn't only the children of slaves that the 14th Amendment would apply to.
Who said that?
The senator from California, Howard himself.
Let me guess. Is a far left person. Of course, that's what they're gonna say.
Yeah, right, bro. Just
at that time, they were far left.
Talking about the wording of the document, not about what some senators say.
Guys, okay. So we're talking about before the. If we're looking at the plain text meaning of the words, it says all persons. So it doesn't say children of ex-slaves. It says all persons. That's one. Am I gonna get my shit off?
Let me break those down. Then you could continue. At the time, right? Black people had just fought and saved this union. Lincoln said, because black men considered such value and gave so much to save the union, out which America would have fell apart and slavery would have expanded the whole thing. Black people played a decisive role in saving the union and saving the republic, right? Lincoln said, history will judge us if we don't do something about them. So in other words, the 14th Amendment just give black people citizens. That was just on paper, right? What it did was overturn Dred Scott in a way that Dred Scott said black people didn't have access to the court. The 14th Amendment basically said black people, now you have the right to use the court and the laws of the land to fight for your behalf. It didn't automatically give us full citizenship, but it gave us the means to fight in court. That's why you had the Brown versus Board of Education. That's why you had the civil rights laws and you had all the stuff like that, busing laws and everything like that. It gave us access to the mainstream of America as a payment for what we were enslaved. And because we were taken, we're not part of any foreign entity. And so America had some responsibility. Even I heard Ann Coulter say that. Yeah, America does have responsibility to the people they brought over as slaves and worked for 300 years. It wasn't meant for everybody, I heard Ann Coulter say that,
All right, go ahead, random opinion. Go ahead, random. Yeah. Hold on, guy. No. Random independent. Go ahead. I got past the mic. Go ahead, random independent.
God damn. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln wasn't alive when these amendments were being debated. He was dead at that time.
Oh yeah, but
yes, what he said. God damn.
For him.
There's a mute button.
Right, go ahead.
You can just stay muted and talk. Nobody is arguing against the fact that the inception was because of the Civil War and the way black people were being treated or whatever. Your thing that the 14th Amendment is what overturned Dred Scott. It's a little bit off. It was actually the Civil Rights Act.
No, I didn't say it overturned Dred Scott. I said what it did was it said that black people now have access to the courts. Dred Scott said we weren't citizens, we weren't recognized as human, right? The 14th Amendment said, okay, these are citizens and whatnot.
All right, you done?
You cannot deny them basic civil rights and liberty. That's all it said.
Yes, and if they wanted to apply it to only ex-slaves or men or whatever, they would say that, which is why the Constitution never had male-ins.
Only black people here were ex-slaves. It didn't apply to Native Americans. It applied to ex-slaves.
It did apply to Native Americans, just not Native Americans on tribal lands.
Citizenship to 1924, bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a whole separate addendum.
No,
with Native Americans.
it did apply. It did apply to Native
No,
Americans,
it did not. No,
except
it
the
did
one.
not. So the Constitution did not.
Do you want a monologue or do you want me to talk too?
No.
They were a sovereign nation, recognized
They
as
were a sovereign
sovereign
nation in a territory.
How many times are you guys going to repeat what I already know?
Well, it was
as
just
much
saying.
as it takes for it to sink in.
Okay, so
for
maybe
you.
what I'm saying is that some information that you're not privy to, right?
Oh.
Maybe I'm going to say something new for you guys because you don't even know about the debates.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but hold on 1 second. But Native Americans didn't gain U.S. citizenship until 1924.
I understand that, but we're talking about the children, correct?
No, children.
What children?
The birthright. We're talking about Are we not talking about the birthright citizenship?
Birthright was applied to only African American slaves.
It wasn't only, which
Yes,
is
it
what
was.
we're getting. Which is what we're getting to, but you keep on interrupting.
Oh boy.
Give us the cliff notes then.
Okay, well, when I started with the Cliff Notes, you interrupted anyway. So, as I was saying, the debates, so during the debates of the ratification for the 14th Amendment, it was understood, it was questioned. They said, Senator from Pennsylvania or Representative from Pennsylvania, I forget which, said, hey, if we keep this verbiage in here, this verbiage in here that's in there right now, it's going to apply to the gypsies in my state. Nobody knows where they come from. They just roam around in gangs. It's going to apply to the Chinese in California, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to apply to... they had a long discussion about what Native Americans it would apply to and which ones it wouldn't. That was the largest, at least in that portion of the debate, the largest discussion that was being had. So under
Kyle, let him finish. Kyle, let him finish. Go ahead, Rand Independent.
So the point being is that it wasn't like they had during the debates for this amendment. It was only discussed about the children of ex-slaves. These other people were actually brought up, and it was said, yes, we are also talking about them when we make this amendment. That was part of the debates.
Yeah, but that was why they brought it to the floor. The board floor was what to do about the 4 million people that were in America.
Yes, and they said, hey, if we put all persons in here, it's going to apply to more than going to apply to more than just them. And the response to that was, yes, we understand.
Kyle, I'm trying to hear him. Go ahead, Rand Independent. Go ahead.
So yes, it seems that some people on the side that you're taking seem to think it somehow takes away from Black history in some way, shape, or form, or it's an assault on Black history or something. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so you're proving my point. And it's not.
Well, it is.
It's just it's no, because the reason that the amendment even happened in the first place is obviously because of the slaves. However, the all persons is put in there, and it's not only for the children of ex-slaves. And again, that was literally discussed during the debates for the ratification of this amendment.
Can I ask one
so
question?
yes, it wasn't just for the ex-slaves, the children of ex-slaves.
Okay, now if in America, right, if you had white skin, you were automatically deemed to be white, and you could. It didn't even matter if you had citizenship or not. The main thing about
Kyle. Okay, so I have people I want to get to. Just give them the meat. Just ask the question.
Hey, yo.
No, hold on. I'm saying this. Check this out. If the 14th Amendment basically protected Black people from future enslavement, it also says that unless by the 13th Amendment also says.
Kyle, please ask the question. I want to pass it to Jonathan. Ask the question.
No, I'm saying this. So what I'm saying is the thing is when people say it applied to all people, no, all people were not subject to chattel slavery. So it did not like that. It legalized chattel slavery, which directly affected Black people, African Americans who were victims of chattel slavery. That's when it ended. You know, you cannot unless a person is convicted of a crime.
That's the 13th Amendment. That's the 13th, not the 14th.
The state can now arrest you and put you into a state of bondage. Slavery was permanent bondage. You know,
sir, that's the 13th.
Yeah, 13th, 14th Amendment protected Black people unless you commit a crime. It's still allowed. That's why
you realize the 13th outlawed slavery period.
We had a new form of slavery because we had a lot of Black people that were getting locked up in chain gangs. What they did was after slavery, they would convict Black people.
I got to pass the mic. Go ahead, Jonathan Miller. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Lost, bro.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
What's up, y'all?
Go ahead.
Now, I brought up the 1924 Indian Citizen Act, right? When I was in the comment section. It's very strange that people that would acknowledge that if they had to pass the 1924 Indians Act to make those people that were already in America, born in America, citizens, then that would mean that the 13th Amendment or whatever 14th Amendment y'all talking about did not make everyone born in the United States of America a citizen by default. And so now what the issue is just that people are just being, how liberal people are today. They try to reinterpret things that they know it has a different meaning, but they try to make it for everybody. And I think that's kind of out of pocket. Now, the term is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States of America at that time period had a specific meaning. And that was you were in the United States of America legally, and that's it. So if you're not, if you don't come to the United States of America, yeah, you can get kicked out, you can get arrested, but you're not necessarily subject to the United States of America. Once you leave the United States of America, the United States of America has no control over you. But you as an American citizen, no matter where you go in the world, the United States has to say what you do, what you can't do, and they can always come after you. You can break a law in another country. It may not necessarily be against the law in that country, but if it's against the law in America, they can still come after you for it.
They can prosecute.
That's the difference between when you're an actual citizen versus someone that just came to America and not actually being subject to the rules of the United States of America. That's it.
Let me pass it. We win it first. I'll pass it back to you, Random Independent. Go ahead, re-win it.
Okay. So when it comes to the situation at hand, it seems that we got people that are black, I guess you would say black passing, that are literally lumping in every other community in this situation and argument. Come on, man. Like these, and I'm gonna preference my words because I respect Dynasty's platform, but this is really some troubling times where this is going to dilute the population of the black community entirely, allowing Asians, Hispanics, Arabs, we lumping in people that will not even spit in our face if we was on fire. I don't get it. No other group literally will actually assist on any kind of black initiative or any black problems at all. They're gonna say, this is your problem, this is your situation, you handle it. But when it comes to when the law states that this is for the children of slaves, now everybody's getting in a tizzy. Now everybody's saying, what about us? 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 Now, to make this dry and short, dude brought up a California politician. I live here in California. Black LA used to be 25% black, but allowing open immigration, chain migration for every illegal that comes in, they have 3 children each. Went from 25% black population in 1980 to only 8% in 25 years. So that dilutes the population. So that's when somebody says, somebody mentioned that, this doesn't hurt, this doesn't affect the black. Yes, it does. When you have overpopulation of people that aren't you, guess what they're going to vote for? Their initiatives over you. What they're going to lobby for? Them getting funds and separating districts up, cutting districts up like pieces of pie. And
Nuri
Martinez, Kevin DeLeon, calling us monkeys, calling children monkeys. Mind you, not even adults. They don't even have compassion for the children. The children can get it. Let them tell it. Now, when it comes to this situation, anybody that's Black American or even somebody that is part of the African diaspora, shame on you. Because you allowing Hispanics to come in, they'll spit in your face too. They don't have any unity when it comes to we're all immigrants. No, they're going to care for their people. And like the old saying goes, Chongo take care of Chongo, meaning that they take care of their own people and only their own people only. So I yield my mic. I'm done.
All right, go ahead.
Actively yelling Rasa, talking about their race, talking about their people, how they're trying to get in positions to undermine us. And we got black people out here that's really cooning for them. These other groups, when it was Stop Asian Hate, the Asians went out there talking about Stop Black Hate, let the blacks get a crime bill first. They said, no, let's get us a crime bill. Now you don't hear nothing about no Stop Asian Hate. These other groups, we've been saying Black and Brown lives. Have you ever heard brown and Black lives? They don't talk like that. They talk about Rasa and the Medali Hala Rasa and all that type of shit.
Okay, all right, guys, let me pass it.
I really want to answer this.
Hold on, but let me pass it to Random Independent. I pass it to you. Don't pass it to T. Go ahead, Random Independent. You can respond.
Yeah, I'll try to be real quick. I don't know, the dude left, I think, but he had like a red thing. I don't remember what his name was. He brought up the 1924. And someone else also brought the 1924 Act for the Native Americans. Native Americans were dealt with the treaty. They were a quasi-foreign nation. That's why they're a little bit different, and that's why even during the debates they were again talked about the most more than anybody else, because that was a specific particular situation, and it still applied to the children of them. Because there was other wild Indians and stuff, and there's discussion about, oh, well, what about the wild Indians in Colorado? Does the Constitution extend to them because X, Y, and Z? Does Congress have power over them? These discussions were had, and it was said it did because there was a case. The Supreme Court ruled that Congress could control commerce, and Congress could control commerce in Colorado or Oregon or somewhere, I can't remember, and it wasn't necessarily a state at the time. Blah 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 blah. Nobody's changing the interpretation. My side isn't anyway. The ones that are looking at the words, we're actually doing the opposite of that. We're looking at it. We understand the original interpretation, the original meaning. We understand the spirit of it. We understand the history of the Constitution and the country, and we understand what it means. And we're the ones not doing that. Other people want to do that because we winning kind of says the quiet part out loud, because they feel like it's an attack on the Black community. Therefore, we should be against it, regardless of what it actually means or says. You would see. Or you can hear him say it. It's, oh, well, if we let this happen, more of them are going to come in and take over the land and take over this and take over that. It has nothing to do.
But they
it
have already
has
done
absolutely
that,
nothing. That's fine. That's fine. It has absolutely nothing to do what the real meaning is of these words and what the history is behind these words. It's just, oh, how is it going to impact you negatively? Okay, you should be against it. Doesn't matter what the Constitution actually says.
So we're just dealing with anti-Trump fear-mongering Black liberals.
That is actually changing interpretation of what it might mean. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof did not have a specific meaning. I don't know why he said that. Maybe he should cite a source. There was 100% not a specific meaning to that. However, that was also debated about, and what he said is not true. You didn't have to be here legally. I don't know why he said that. Legally,
these are anti-Trump Black liberals who believe in the delusional Black and Brown alliance, trying to come up with these nonsense, trying to get us to support illegal immigration. That's all it is. They just don't like Trump, and they hate white people, and they think we're going to form a coalition like Voltron and overtake the white man. That's never going to happen. Only Black liberals live in that delusional.
I got to read these super chats. I'm going to pass it to did so. Alan HB, thank you for 499 holla. The 14th Amendment was in direct response used to the Plessy versus Ferguson case. Is dealt with slaves and stateless slave of native tribes. DJ AK Miss Salmon, thank you for 499 holla. My white supremacist friend says that America was originally intended for white people only. Therefore, we should all go back to Africa. PCH Rise, thank you for $20 holla. Sanctuary cities in America means ethnic cleansing for Black Americans. Democrats are responsible for that. All right, go ahead, so then I'll pass it to you.
Okay, so
can I finish the last thing I was saying real quick?
What was it? Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We winning. I think you might have misheard me. I wasn't talking about California politician today. I'm talking about a California politician in 1866 debating.
But that's a prime example of how it affected Black.
You brought up.
That's a direct.
Yeah, you think California was mostly Black back then, or you think they had a lot of Chinese?
We had
why are Black liberals so concerned about this too?
We had 25%
in 1866
to 8%
in 1866.
From 1980.
Because so this is my. I don't know why you're exactly.
See, now you're playing these word games. Now you're doing these word games.
Like I literally said, so you don't know what I'm trying to do.
Like I literally said,
we win. Let him finish.
He's not the only scholar on the panel. That's
in 1980.
I seem to be.
He thinks he's the authority.
You would like to be.
Nobody sees you as a scholar, bro. Nobody.
Like I said, let me clarify. My point.
And your talking points lost you the election in 2024. You're not a scholar, bro.
Talking points.
People aren't here representing fear. I'm not afraid of what I'm in California.
Exactly, and that's why they lose.
Out here, the bottom line is they need to go. And
like
the
I
14th
said,
Amendment did not cover them.
We used to be 25%.
Why did 21 states submitted an injunction against this policy?
We used to be 25% of Black Los Angeles used to be 25% in 1980. We went from 25% to 8%.
Are you going to cite anything?
Chain migration.
Are you going to cite anything that has to do with the ratification of the amendment? Are you going to cite anything that has to do with the ratification?
Of allowing anchor babies to have children. That's the same.
No, we're here speaking in layman's terms.
We're
here speaking in layman's
I gotta pass. Let me pass it to Ditso. Then after Ditso cheat, I'll pass it back to you.
I'm gonna go quickly on this. Okay. First, thank you to Random Independent. I appreciate everything that you've said. But let's be clear. One, the underlying xenophobia on this whole conversation, particularly coming from some directions, is more than clear. Sustaining a serious misconception and misconstruction of reality in many ways. This feeds into the imperialist forms that U.S. loves.
Bro, I'm tired of other races lecturing us, bro. This shit's annoying.
That's imperialist talk to me.
Okay, hold on.
They only come to black people that know these black liberals will defend them.
Let them finish.
A little bit of order. Then, see the reaction. This is the reaction I am talking about.
Yeah, but you're like making war on us, you know.
Oh man, y'all let it. This so you got 30 seconds. I gotta pass the mic. Go ahead.
No, that's a bit unfair, Prince, because I was about to conclude.
Anyhow, I gotta pass the mic. Say it. Go.
All right, I'm gonna say it in this way. Again, we see the clear underlinings of xenophobia of some directions. We clearly see the ignorance of their own history and the imposition of pseudo-historical revisionism that satisfies their needs. It is evident that they do not even have the minimum requirement to accept how those things played out, particularly in the United States, having a country, whereas other countries in the Western Hemisphere, we abolished slavery from the get-go, from the Constitution. Your founding fathers were cowards, at least in that sense. They did not do so, and they fucked up the country for almost 90 years, then a civil war, then 100 years of establishing, an apartheid state that inspired eventually what happened in South Africa. So fundamentally, this bringing up of a anchor baby like Donald Trump, Donald
Trump wouldn't be considered anchor baby. If Donald Trump's an anchor baby, Barack Obama's an anchor baby too.
All right, so let's just say it this way: of many presidents who have arrived and were anchor babies, either of European descent or any other descent, in that sense, it is clear the hypocrisy. It is clear the hypocrisy to which they are parting from, and the problems on that sense. The speech of Donald Trump today and his actions against the problems of irregular migration clearly shows to us the United States.
What do we need migration for?
To help his people out, don't you know?
Right? Are we getting the best of the brightest?
Exactly. Yeah.
Again,
so they can take over.
Again, see, this is the thing. You guys jump at
man, we don't look.
How does
You guys
benefit the black community
again,
collectively?
I was almost
How do you
done.
benefit us
I
collectively?
was almost done. For crying out loud. I understand that my words hurt you and bother you internally, but you should be asking yourself why.
Genocide. We don't want to be erased, you know? How about that?
No.
And what time?
I gotta pass the mic, but
okay, let me conclude.
I'm talking. Donald Trump is not an anchor baby. He's not.
I'm being hyperbolic. I'm just saying, and to conclude, the reactionary forms of certain people shows to us that they have no understanding of the history and the depth of that history and the nuance of that history. And they support tyrants like Donald Trump, like in Venezuela, they supported Maduro because they have no understanding. And when you do not have understanding,
Donald Trump's not a tyrant, but go ahead.
Right,
it's a tyrant.
We voted for him, bro.
Al que le quepa el guante que se lo plante.
I gotta pass the mic. It was hold on. It's T. Then your emoji. Then I got past the Allen. Go ahead, T.
Does this?
I think the annoying thing we're having is black folks are sick of these other groups coming into our channels and into our forums and trying to lecture us on what we need to do for them. It's a major disrespect for black people because unfortunately they are used to mostly black liberals caping for them, jumping out in front of them, saying, "Oh, the civil rights, and we got to do something because the white man oppress you, and they're oppressing us too." So they are so used to black people caping for them. And yet there's nothing tangible that any black person can say that these illegal immigrants are doing for black people. And if you want to say, oh, they are mowing our yards and doing, manual house labor, the problem is there are a lot of black men, and I know some, I'm in Texas because, man, we got a lot of them here. The problem is they can't even compete with the low prices that the illegal immigrants are doing. And to me, I'm selfishly black. I look out for the black interest first. I don't care. And if we got to get some illegals up out of here so that black men can prosper and take over certain injuries, I don't care. We need to be black first. I don't know where we get this mindset where anytime something happens to another race of people, we just got to jump in. Why? They never do that for us. Why do we got to make these stupid, ridiculous, well, back in the 18, who gives a damn? Who cares? We're talking about now. We're talking about shrieking black populations. We're talking about black folks losing their institutions in Chicago and New York and protesting and watching their mayors ignore them. And these are black folks who are Democrats, well, who used to be Democrats, pleading for assistance to do something about this legal immigration situation. The problem is we got a lot of black liberals who honestly think white people are living up underneath their bed. And they think, like I said before, that there's some black and brown alliance that's going to form together. And I don't know if I told you this before, Dinus, but man, if you look at like the Hispanic caucus, the Black caucus, and I think they got an Asian Pacific caucus. You know, what's interesting is when you look at the Latino caucus, right? Their website said we are looking out for the interests of Latinos. You look at the Pacific Islander caucus. We're looking out for the interests of the Pacific Islanders. Look at the Black caucus. We're looking out for blacks, browns, and other minority groups. Do you see the difference? Every other group has a stated interest in their own group. We are the only people who wants to fight for every other group, and that's the problem. And we're saying hell no. And we're not scared. Stop coming on here, especially if you're not of our race, trying to lecture us and calling us xenophobic. Get your ass out this country. Go back to your country. This is all we know. This is our country. Go back to your country. They're over here waving foreign flags, burning the American flags. Go back to your country. But no, I don't think black folks should be fighting in the front lines. We should be happy that this is happening because I'm gonna be honest with you, this is gonna open up a lot of opportunities for many black people in certain industries.
All right, let me pass the mic to Emoji. After Emoji's Alan. Go ahead, Emoji.
Yeah, I just want to say that, not everyone supporting this or recognizing the clear definition of what's in front of us is a Trump supporter. I'm not. I'm an independent, didn't vote for Trump, and I'm not also in California and have no fear of anyone replacing me. I do understand the numbers and what's going on, but I don't operate at those low levels, so I'm not concerned about that. What I am concerned about is the fact that we've got to get control of the population and the number of illegals in our country. And so birthright citizenship is the first place to start. I'm behind it 100%. I understand there are 21 states that filed an injunction, but there are 28 who can now go forward with this. Fortunately, I'm in California where an injunction was filed, but I'm all for it. We've got to clean this up. I can't go anywhere in the world, including the place the country that I was born in, and demand anything. I'll yield my time to Ola.
All right, go ahead, Alan.
Let me give a short.
Yeah,
hold on. After Alan, I'll pass it to you, Ola. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been dying to get on here. The 14th Amendment is it not only it pretty much covered everything that you showed in the video at the very beginning of this whole broadcast. It covered reparations because the fourth section doesn't allow for reparations pretty much, and it also was specifically meant for black people. It was in direct response to the Dred Scott case. And so that is the historical context of it. All Trump is doing is clarifying the historical context of it and not allowing this country to become a free-for-all. There are other countries that have a version of birthright citizenship, but it's not where people can set up and get not be a citizen of the country, set up and have a baby in this country on purpose to maybe try and send your kid back later. That I can tell you for a fact that's not what happens in Barbados. I can tell you for a fact that's not what's allowed to happen all throughout the Caribbean. In the British English speaking Caribbean, you are what your father is, right? And so that is the law. And so it's not people they try to deceive you by saying that it's birthright citizenship. That's the same as the United States, but it's not. And the original intent of the 14th Amendment was never to allow people to just go ahead and just have babies on vacation and leave their kid here. That's not what it was intended to do, and that's what he's trying to clear up. I think that some of his rhetoric is a little off. I did not vote for Trump, but a lot of Latinos did, and so I can't really be upset now that this is the result. When the Miami Cubans and Venezuelans voted for this man to do what he said he was going to do, thinking that it wasn't going to affect them.
I vote for Mr. Trump.
Right.
And she got deported. She got deported.
Yeah, and so that is what they voted for. So why we're trying to save them from the result of what they voted for, we told you who to vote for. Most black people did not vote for Donald Trump, except for people here on this panel. But most black people did not vote for Donald Trump. And they were concerned for your safety. And then you guys decided that the Latinos decided to go out there, vote for Trump, despite the fact that he promised the largest deportation in the history of the country. And then you end up with this result, and then you're crying and wondering why black people aren't out there defending you. That doesn't make any sense.
First of all, black people welcome everybody to join them.
God dang, man. Hold on, man. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah. And the only other thing I was going to say was that the other piece of historical context that people miss is that one brother on here talked about the Indians getting their citizenship in the 1920s, right? Because before the 1920s, they were considered a separate nation within the United States, and that didn't have any citizenship rights. The one of the main reasons why there was a 14th Amendment is for 20 years there were a group of black people who were owned by certain Indian nations that were stateless, essentially stateless, because they were not owned by anybody who was a citizen, and so they were not citizens of the United States. And so in order to clarify that, so they didn't leave the people as completely stateless, they ended up coming up with the 14th Amendment. That was part of the reason why you ended up with the amendment as well. That's all I was going to say.
Just one quick thing on this.
Hold on, it's Ola's turn. Then Bobo, go ahead, Ola.
Yeah, that is. You see, this dude. You know, the other guy from we say it's a lawyer. It's a broke lawyer. I can see why it's broke. You know, he doesn't have anything to say, but he want to sound every time very intellectualist or whatever he want to be or whatever he want to be. You know, it's only United States this happen. I understand the black Americans have to fight for their right, because if you meet these Mexicans and the Filipinos in the American embassy behind that counter, that you're looking for visa, they're the one that will reject you immediately first. You understand me? If you meet a Mexican looking, even when it's Miss Mexican or a Filipino in that American embassy in that counter, they will stress you by asking you all kind of damn documents. As an African, I'm telling you this. You know, if they
like my wife got rejected by. She said the lady at the U.S. Embassy was a Mexican of Spanish.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. They ask you to bring if your house, if you have a house documents, you bring it. The house they will see that they cannot reject you anything. They might take 2 weeks before they give you the whole shit. So they would have given to you immediately there. So I can understand why the black people are fighting for their own right, because fighting for your own right, because these Mexicans, actually, if they come to dominate, which is, I'm not saying they cannot, because they're very close to people there. They're about 200-something million. They can flock in. No matter you deport, they're coming back the next day. The only way you can protect yourself as black people over there is you have to fight for what make you a citizen of that place, and try to. The white people also doing it. You know, they have
keep it short, Ola.
Hold on,
Short and concise.
Bro. This dude, man. I know you just pretending. You say you're Indians. You hate me because you think I'm an African.
I don't hate you, Ola. You're just annoying.
Your school during your school time.
I don't hate you, Ola. You're just annoying, and I'm just proving the hypocrisy
during your school
here.
time, let me tell you something, young man. During your school time, you were looking at Google. Going to Google. I read the real book. You feel me? So that you sound stupid. When I listen to you, you sound stupid, bro. You want to attack
yourself. You should reread your
books
or go back to school because evidently you talk too much shit.
You have to be proud of being Costa Rican. You feel me?
This is my issue.
Maybe your parents or your father didn't even go to school.
This is my issue, the hypocrisy of certain people here. An African acting like a gringo and a gringo black acting like a tyrant.
Fool. My dad did PhD in United States, came back home. My father went to Florida AM University, Agriculture and University.
Source, trust me, bro.
Hold on. They studied what I studied, the books I read when I was doing health sciences, on that sport, whatever it is, psychology, everything. I read the books that came from United
whatever you say, or
I gotta pass the mic. Go ahead, Vovo.
You're a lawyer, you're a broke lawyer. You are a
Go ahead,
broke
Vovo.
lawyer.
I'm gonna pass it to Emoji. Go ahead, Vovo.
Yeah, I gotta go. I just want to say,
guys, remember, I haven't talked in an hour, man.
Okay, then I'm gonna pass it to Emoji. Then after Emoji, you, Kyler. Go ahead, Vovo.
The shaming tactics is not going to work. This calling us gringos and xenophobic and all of that nonsense, it's just not going to work. Calling us ignorant, that's just a clumsy way of trying to call us dumb. You know what I mean? These things are not going to work. The bottom line is that we're right. That's just the bottom line. The 14th Amendment was for slave babies. Period. It's not meant for somebody to come over here 23 months pregnant and then have a baby and then anchor themselves to this country. That's all that he's trying to stop. Now, the real question is, why would anybody have a problem with that? That's what the title of the space is. Why would anybody have a problem with that? The reason why they have a problem with that is because it's simple. They don't want to live in their homeland. That's what it is. They want to be here. And they're going to do anything to anchor themselves or tether themselves to this country. That's what it is. By hook or by crook, they're going to try to stay here in this country. It's just not going to work. We got the perfect president. He's in the right position. He came along at the right time. So black people need to wake up and realize that this is a good thing. Trump's not hurting us. Not one thing Trump did to hurt us. These things that Trump are doing is actually helping us. We are the ones. We have been the targets of these people. They've came. We used the Nori Martinez example earlier. Before all those Mexicans got to LA, it was black people had them outnumbered. We never seen a black version of a Nori Martinez. We don't do shit like that. There is no black Officer Yanez or no black George Zimmerman or some shit like that. Immigration has hurt us historically, not just from the Latinos, period. It has hurt us historically because we've been the welcoming ones. I'm a truck driver. I'm all through America. I'm all in the nooks and crannies of America. When I go to these one-stop light towns and all that, this ain't no other race there. No other race is nowhere around. It's 99% white. They have their own spaces. These people come to our communities. They come to the Chicagos. They come to the LAs, to the Cleveland, Ohio's, to the Detroits. Detroit right now, you know what you know where most Arabs is at? Dearborn, Michigan. They built they took over a city off the back of black people. Everybody comes, they come to our community. The Asians, it's a whole thing now. It's referred to as Chinese hood spot. They come to our community and open up businesses, and we've been welcoming. We need to stop doing that. This is the perfect president to help us. So I'm just gonna land with that. Donis, appreciate you letting me speak.
No problem. Go ahead, Emoji. I'm gonna pass the collar.
Okay, so the question is, why would anyone have a problem with it? My problem with anchor babies is that after they turn 21 years old, they can actually file for citizenship for the rest of their family. Specifically, if their parents leave, I think with 10 years outside of the child's birth, then they automatically can the child can automatically file for them and then other relatives. So this anchor baby situation has been used to up their population, grant them citizenship, though they may have been in the country 15 or 20 years before the child was born. So I'm all for it. Let's use it. Let's stick to the letter of the law. And birthright citizenship was for ADOS. That's it.
All right, go ahead, Kala.
Okay, this is what I say to my good friend Ditto, the Latino prophet, whoever he is, Look, you got every right to fight for your people, I get that, I like to do the cucaracha, drink some margaritas. I get into the Mexican. We got a nice Mexican restaurant right here. Love the culture, wonderful people, But the fact of remains is I'm African American, I'm black, right? And to be honest with you, man, not in my area, right? The rest of the country, black people are starting to feel cornered, and I know my people. When we feel cornered, we're dangerous, and sooner or later it's going to explode. I'm just telling you for your own good, it's going to explode. It's not going to turn out good. When you come over here and say stuff like this is stolen land and everything like that, you come over here saying nobody's illegal. I saw these signs. Nobody's illegal. That means you just completely erase the and have disrespect of the not only what we fought for to be included into this country the legal way, the right way, and everything. That's making a mockery of everything our ancestors fought for. We didn't basically come here bum rush the country. We came here and proved that we wanted to be part of this country. We fought for this country. We believed in this country. We did all stuff like this. And for you to just dismiss all that as, oh, this country has no legitimacy, no right to live. And then knowing that the only ally you probably had in this country was black people, because like the guy Volvo said, there's no black version of George Zimmerman. The comments of the black city councilman in Los Angeles, black people don't do that. We've never had any evidence of oppressing you or denying you when we have majority black states. We're very accommodating, right? But when you guys get power, it's obviously when you guys you're trying to do us in. So when you look at the way we feel like the way it is, stop and think, what are you guys doing? It's not all about you all the time. Think about other people. It's not all about the Latinos or what you want. Think about other people. So
hey, don't mean to interrupt here, Kyle.
Well,
what about individuals?
It's not your turn yet. It's not your turn yet. Kyle, are you done?
I'm done.
All right, go up, Cosmic. And after Cosmic is rapper. Go ahead, Cosmic.
What's up, bro?
What's going on?
I'm doing all right. I really just want to up on this conversation and just talk about two things. The first one is that I want to talk from the perspective of a Nigerian looking at my Black American brothers. I want to say I am for the deportation of all these Mexicans. I'm sorry, because I live in Los Angeles, and everywhere I go, where there is a Mexican or there used to be black workers there, as soon as the Mexican come in there, in less than 6 months or 3 months, all that place is filled with Mexicans and all the blacks are gone. I keep seeing this all the time and everywhere. So this is what I'm going to say. Please, brothers, take advantage of all these jobs, because this is where the diaspora, the African world, will have to start respecting you now, because we're watching what you're doing. Secondly, I want to talk about the 14th Amendment trap. Now, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying. But why will a people write a contract for the children of slaves that they enslaved and brutalized, even without their consent or without them even knowing about writing that contract, which is what you're calling the 14th Amendment?
They covered themselves.
So let me finish. The point I'm trying to make here is that in this context, yes, you can use it to your advantage, right? But from what I've been studying for the past 7-8 years, you becoming a 14th Amendment citizen makes you a corporate fiction, right? It makes you, it puts you into the federal jurisdiction. And that means that you are owned by the United States. Now, this is what a lot of people do not know. There's a difference between the United States, which is a territory, right, and which is owned by the Rockefellers, and the United States of America. If you subject yourself to the 14th Amendment citizen, you are calling yourself,
Let me ask you a
slave.
question, my good Nigerian brother. Would you
Hold on, let me finish.
Hold
Let
on.
me finish.
Africans offer us land so we can get out of this
Can I
system.
hold on? Can I finish, brother? Hold on. Can I finish? Now, this is what I'm trying to say. There is a solution. You don't have to go anywhere. You can have both. You can be in Africa and you can be in America. That's the advantage of being Black American. You have the rights here. America is your legacy. Africa is your birthright.
Yeah, we don't have no birthright in Africa, bro. Let's be honest.
Well, you just got to work for it. You got to be organized.
Well, how can we work for something that's our birthright? You know,
but hold on, because guess what? We too, we facing the same issue you're facing here: identity crisis. But that does not take out your blood right. It's your blood right. Blood is blood.
Well, I've been arguing that for years, and the people I get pushed back from that are Africans. You know,
fuck them.
They tell us that we don't. It's all right for us to come there and spend the money, but we say, you know, we want some land. Hey, we want access to the oil wealth. We want access to diamonds. We want to get our start in life. You know, African like that. You're asking too much now. You know.
Hold on. Can I say something? See.
Yeah.
All right, you got 30 seconds. I got to pass the rep.
Okay. See, this is what I'm gonna say. What Black Americans want to do is switch to the private side. You guys want to become a national citizen. You guys don't want to be in the United States anymore. You want to become private citizens. You want to rebut that 14th Amendment citizens and say you are a living man. You are not a fiction. But that's something if Dinus will let me, I can teach some other day. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Raptor Blue.
All right, thanks for letting me in. Now, so I see a lot of people supporting Trump here, completely ignoring the fact that Trump has a history of anti-blackness in and of itself.
Can you give us a proof? Can you give us a proof?
Do you want the court cases? Is that what you want?
I mean, hold on. Like I said, okay, now I know you're going to talk about New York, but do you understand?
Can you let the men speak and then ask your questions, please?
I know where he's going with this. I know he's going.
No, let him finish, Colin. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, you can keep interrupting me. That's fine too. Like we already know that you dislike other brown folk. Like, but
Raptor, can I ask you a question? Were you a Biden supporter?
Am I a Biden supporter? No.
Did you vote for Biden?
Vote for Biden? Yes.
Okay. Do you think? Hold on, Colin. Do you think Biden has a history of being anti-black?
He absolutely does. But has he worked? But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a counter question. All right. Let me ask you a counter question. Did he do was he working against that after supporting all the crime bill and everything?
Then Strom Thurmond, the supporting Strom Thurmond, the crime bill.
Yeah, but has he been working since that to work against what he did before?
No.
Okay. Because he has, but whatever, right? I don't like Joe Biden. I'm not going to defend Joe Biden, right? I'm not.
Okay, but go ahead and continue. Go ahead.
Okay, like we're ignoring the fact that Trump has a straight up history of anti-blackness. This is the court cases. This is denying people like black folks home, money, all that sort of shit, right? And we're not even getting to the larger fact of how this United States here has worked to put black and brown people against each other, which is the biggest thing, which is the continuing thing. Go ahead.
No, Colin, let me finish, Colin. Go ahead, Raptor Blue.
Yeah, that was kind of addressing what you were going to say before, Colin, where what about indigenous folk? You know, Native Americans who were born here. The 14th Amendment covered them too. People are saying, nope, not our fight. Thing is, it's always been our fight, though. We've always been on the back foot on all of this. Yet the black people always stepped up. Disability rights, the disability protests. We've always stepped up because we knew what it was like to be the second-class citizens, the worst people that are treated the worst by the system. So yeah, people are saying, again, not our fight, but how we treat the worst of the lowest of our society is how it's going to be affecting other people in that society. Black folk are just going to be the trickle down of what happens to everybody else.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No, they're not. Okay, how are they not going to be?
No. See, Black America really just needs to segregate and be itself, honestly. Black Americans just need one state or two states, organize there and build your shit. Boy, it
Is
takes
this
hard
the
work.
Nigerians talking?
Every time
takes
it's
hard
happened,
work, though.
every time it's happened, white folk come in and burned it down.
To never build what you can protect.
Okay,
We
so
did
Cos,
protect it. White people still
Hold
came
on,
in,
you
burned it
just
down,
said
and
white
bombed it.
folks came and burned it down. So why are there so many thriving black businesses, and I've yet to see an Apache helicopter
Disproportionate amount of
bombing?
businesses are
It
owned
doesn't
by
matter
white folk.
where was the last business that the white man said, you know, we got to bomb this and burn it down? When? Because you guys always bring that up, and to be honest, it's that mindset. It's that weak ass mindset that stops black men from even doing anything, because you preach that scary ass message so that inspiring, ambitious black men will be like, you know what? I can't build nothing
Fuck
because
that.
the white man is
Fuck
just going
that.
to
That's
burn
not
it
what I'm
down.
saying at all.
So
That's not
I'm
what
going
I'm
to
saying at all.
whine and
That's not what I'm
complain
saying
for
at
the
all.
rest of my life. I'm going to be a whore for other groups until the
That's not
white
what I'm
man is
saying at
defeated.
all.
That is the weakest ass message,
Can I say
and we're
something?
tired of
That's not
hearing
even
it, bro.
Can I say
that's not at
That's
something?
all
why
what
you
I'm
guys
saying,
lose.
bro.
I would like to
That's
say
not
We
what
are
I'm
something.
tired of
saying,
that weak
bro.
ass
You're putting
fear
words in my
mongering
mouth.
message.
That's not what I'm
You
saying.
just said the white
That's
man is going
no,
to
I did
burn it
not.
down,
I
man.
said
That's
every
some
time
weak
we've done
ass
it,
The
every
cowardly
time
black
we've
shit,
done
man
it,
man.
needs
what
to
That
we
we got to
stop
deny,
break out
do we
of.
dying,
deny
and needs to
history?
start
Do we
killing.
deny history? Is that what
The
we're
black
doing to
man
you?
needs to stop
yes,
dying.
they've been
The
denying
black man
history
needs to
since I hopped on,
stop
including
dying
Oh
and
yeah, I
start
history
know.
killing.
today.
I know they've been denying
Yeah,
history.
yeah. It seems to be a habit, and then they tell you that you don't know what you're
Hey,
talking
guys, I
about.
sent you a
Yeah,
video.
I don't
and
know
that's
why.
why you guys lose the argument. That's why Trump
And yet
won.
there's
I
You
still
guys
thriving
don't make
black
compelling
businesses.
arguments.
Black men
Nobody
need
is
I'm
to
scared
sorry,
like
stop
y'all.
boss.
dying and
We're
start
men.
killing.
We're not women.
Video.
We don't
He
we
put
don't
Trump.
cry
The
and,
fuck is
and
this
throw
Oh my
misogyny
white men
God,
shit,
like
Mike
Black
bro?
said
y'all.
men
What's this
speak as
need to
misogyny
well.
war
stop
shit,
dying
bro?
I
and
sent
start
you a
killing.
video with Donald Trump and Jesse Jackson doing a speech together. Play that.
I'm sorry,
Okay, you
but the
got one
Trump
example
mindset
of
is weak as fuck. I'm sorry. The Trump mindset is
Yeah.
weak as fuck.
So yeah.
And
The,
y'all are
the
so
disrespect.
stupid that y'all couldn't beat Trump because you don't have a
Yeah.
convincing message.
Bro, I'm
That
not. I
y'all
do
no,
need
it's
to
not
because
go
believe
of
in the
misogyny
United
watch
war,
him.
States.
Not only
bro.
that,
That's
he
what
got
it is.
the
It's because
popular
people
vote
hate black women.
because
Yeah.
y'all don't know how to
That's
make
why.
convincing
No, no,
arguments.
P.
That's why.
I
Nah,
am not in
Kamala
the United
was a
States. I
terrible
do not
candidate. She
vote in the
sucked.
United States.
No, Kamala was a terrible candidate, but you know what? You know who's worse? Trump. That's the
Nah,
thing.
I
Yeah, yeah,
disagree.
yeah, yeah.
I
He
Okay,
wasn't
what
worse
has
than
Nah,
Trump
he.
done
He
that's
nah,
wasn't worse
good?
than
bro.
he was.
What's
The
Trump done that's
country is
good?
against you
What's
on that
Trump
one,
that's good?
bro.
What
no,
has
that
Trump
hey,
done
hey,
that is
Trump won a
good?
popular vote. I
Okay,
mean,
Trump.
What
Stay
the
in
fuck did
Mexico.
Trump do
Okay,
that is good?
stay in Mexico.
Watch this video.
Stay in
Stay in
Mexico. What the
Mexico.
fuck?
Getting
Watch this
these
video.
damn
Me?
illegals right the hell up out of here and getting rid of this.
What has
Yeah.
Trump done that's good?
Stay
Can
in Mexico.
anyone say?
What
Getting
is
rid of
trying to
this
What
do?
has he
damn
done?
birthright citizenship, bro.
Everybody mute up. Everybody mute up.
For the
Watch this video.
success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street
We're
project and
we
we
fuck
talked
with Jesse
about it,
Jackson now.
you gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who is an effective builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop.
Are we supposed to watch the whole 5 minutes of this?
On what are the challenges
I think they're gonna let us
and
have us watch the
opportunities.
whole
And
thing.
so this,
What is
a
this
year
has
later,
nothing to do
Donald
with the
Trump,
topic at hand.
for a few minutes, challenges.
The last guy said Donald Trump's a bad person, but okay.
Nah,
I
I
mean,
think
he has historical
said he
anti-black
has
policies.
a history of racism, and then
Yeah.
you put up a video that said, "Oh, well, I don't even think he's racist, so I'm not even taking that position. I
Guys,
just think he's a
watch the
narcissist."
video. All right, let's see what Donald Trump and Jesse Jackson did.
But why? Who cares about?
Oh, okay.
What
Are
does
we
this
gonna
video have
fuck
to
with
do with
Donald Trump
anything?
and Jeffrey Epstein too? Like,
Hold on,
what?
hold on.
When does the cutoff happen?
2 years ago,
Like I said,
2 years ago.
Oh, you guys
Hold on.
are
has a bias in your opinion, so it doesn't really matter anymore. So you guys made up your mind.
Hold
You don't
on.
like Trump.
I asked, what did Trump do that's
I
good?
told you one thing he did that was good. He said
Oh, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
the remain in Mexico policy. The remain in Mexico policy.
Hold on.
Okay.
You came up here
Cali,
acting like
bro,
you was,
God
had
damn,
no
man.
dog in
This
the
dude.
fight. You came up here trying to pretend like you didn't care, and you just trying to listen what's that, and you have shown that you have a deep feeling about this topic. You know. So you
why did Jesse Jackson less than a year ago in an interview? Hold on. Why did
I'm just listening? I don't really know much about it, and that didn't sound like you didn't know much about it. You had a strong opinion.
Quick question: since we use the
just like
you listen, but okay,
just like the Costa Rican guy. I said, look, you want the Rasa, you want to take over this hemisphere.
No,
you
are putting words in my mouth, Kyle.
Why are we putting words in our mouth, man?
Look, again, hold on, Raptor, give me a moment, Kyle, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Hold on. You just put words on my mouth.
Motherfucker, I'm black. What the fuck are you talking about?
You
What's this colorism shit?
Hold on.
What's about the other guy, the Mexican guy?
Hold on.
Okay.
Kyle,
So,
no, hold on. Give me a moment because he just put words in my mouth.
But hold on.
I have to contest this. He just lied his ass off about what I said, and I will challenge that. Again,
what does it got to do with the topic?
No, because Kala just
nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with the topic. Who cares?
No, hold on. Random. I have
nothing with the topic. So we're talking about the 14th Amendment. That's great. That's great. We're talking about the 14th Amendment. To Raptor's question, stay in Mexico, I think was a good policy that Trump
the
put
remain
forward.
in Mexico.
Yeah, remain in Mexico. I think that was a good, but that's not to talk about good versus bad that Trump has done. We're just talking. I thought that we were just talking about the 14th Amendment.
Yeah.
I believe that's a good policy. Yeah.
Okay. Can you describe to me why you think it's a good policy?
Because I don't think that because someone applies for citizenship, they should just be let into the country.
So it's for asylum.
Asylum. That's fine with that. Even asylum seekers.
Okay. So like even people come in from like. What?
Yeah, especially not if they come from a different. If they transited through Mexico from whatever country they came from, they can stay in Mexico. It's all good.
So you know how asylum seeking works, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, you guys.
But again, I don't want to get into the good, bad Trump policy thing. I wanted to talk about the 14th Amendment, and that's
we absolutely can. I want to talk about the 14th Amendment.
Or we're getting something else, going to somewhere else about people not liking Trump or people liking Trump.
Yeah. I understand.
And I think we probably have the same position on the 14th Amendment, but it keeps on veering into some other bullshit.
Yeah, it veers into that. And just real quickly before I do have to go because I have to get ready for my week in that sense.
Yellow Rasa meeting.
No, again, Kala, stop using defamatory and slander bullshit. Again, Kala, can you shut the fuck up and let somebody else speak, please? Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, in this sense, your bullshit about putting words about Rasa and shit like that, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about because Rasa is a code term used by especially Mexicans out of a racist nature. And I combat that notion every single day of my life. There's no such thing as the Rasa. And there's no Latin American that could debate me that. On second level, and real fucking quickly, my problem is that you could see with many people and this panel, as well as other conversations I've had, the underlying xenophobia and the underlying complete and utter senseless, baseless understanding of your own history. Fact. From the moment your constitution was ratified up till the Civil War, at the end of the Civil War, your country fucked up on who was supposed to be citizenship. Why? Yes, we can all agree that it was a racist stupidity, and as one of the last countries to abolish slavery in the Western Hemisphere, you fucked up. Deal with it. Kobe.
Okay, now
Second, hold on, I'm not done. And third, to end on this high note.
It's not a high note. You already started dropping.
That's your opinion. And
the Constitution. The Constitution did not define citizenship, correct? So just off that alone, you saying since the signing of the Constitution till Civil War, blah blah blah, citizenship is incorrect because the Constitution did not define citizenship.
They said we the people.
Again. Why
it defines the difference between citizens
we
and
the
people.
White people.
So, like that's the only difference.
We the white people, we the European descendant people.
No, that's not what it meant. Which is why you shouldn't talk about it.
One thing is what the semantic.
Let Dito finish.
So in this sense, see, this is why North Americans get ticked off with somebody like me from Latin America that can have a better perspective, not only on their history, but throughout the whole history of Latin America.
You don't have to
and the
be
Western
condescending
Hemisphere.
when you talk, especially when you're wrong.
Look, Random. I am responsible for the words I say. I'm not responsible for how you perceive.
That's fine.
I do not care
if you're going to speak, then be right.
have a feeling.
Did black people participate in choosing the delegates for the state ratification conventions? You know your history so well, right? You just said that us North Americans get so upset because a Latin American knows our history better than us. Did black people participate in getting and voting for the
I would concede this. Look, I have nothing against your people. You know,
well, can he answer the question?
Hold on. Let me say this.
No, Colin, let him ask the question, Colin. Go ahead.
I want him to answer. He wants to talk all this gunko shit. Let him Google his shit. He said that he knows history better. Did black people participate in choosing the delegates for the state ratification conventions?
In a broader sense, no. Were there
in a broader sense? Define a broader sense.
Okay, so did black or African slavers,
slavers? No, not slaves. Not slaves.
Are you talking just enslaved? Not in the South. Okay, so you admit that not all representation of black community at that moment had the chance to elect towards the congressional.
Yep, I do. Yep, yes, just like not all the white.
So
just like not all the white.
Why are you then asking?
Answer the question.
Why
because you don't know that, because I don't like when people talk down about the U.S. because I find it to be the greatest country in the history of this world. So I don't like when people disrespect it, and when someone disrespects it and then acts like their country is better, or other countries are better, and thinks that
have I acted that my country
know about the history.
This is your problem.
You said you had to be quick.
I do not care for your feeling. I do not care for your feeling. I'm only stating the fact.
You didn't answer the question though. Did black people participate?
Some. I said in the broader.
Did all white people?
The majority, yes.
The majority. You think that the majority voted? Is that because I remember reading the state ratification convention in Massachusetts, and they were complaining that only 10% of the eligible voters were voting regularly. So when you say majority, I'm confused about what you mean by majority.
Of the 13 colonies, the majority of European descent were the ones controlling that whole situation.
Okay, it's interesting.
No, it was Christian male, white property.
So again, your question is being set up to try to get a gotcha, because you do not want. And you just saw that I'm giving you nuance. Why did I? Yes,
you said this country was only for white Europeans, and I'm giving the nuance by saying that black people participated in the political discourse. That's the nuance.
It's a pity that black Americans have to listen to this dumbass guy. Hold on. You know, this guy's a dumbass. This guy's a dumbass. It's a pity that black Americans
listen.
You know, you're the Einstein of sociology.
Let me read this to y'all.
You know, I don't understand why you black Americans listen to this dumbass guy who's supposed to be smoking.
Well, you're African. They shouldn't even listen to you.
Yo, listen to this.
You're African. Why are you here?
Under the 14th Amendment is a created legal entity subject to the United States Corporation under Title 28, subsection 300215A, not the organic republic.
Look, again, Random.
These guys are patient to listen to your ass. They're very patient. If I were to, I'll dump your ass long time, man.
Random, I'm talking to Random. I'm not talking to you.
Man, what the fuck are you, bro?
Where
university?
Black Americans allow too much. I think they allow too much.
Okay, out of the population.
Tell me your university. Tell me the name of your university.
We know you like to
tell me the name of your university. Tell me the name of your university.
Random.
I want to know the name of your university. Because
you do the same. Show me,
you, bro.
Show me your.
You want to sound very. You want to sound very.
Show me yours, and I'll show you mine.
You're a dumbass.
Show me yours, and show me. I'll show you.
You know, you're just a dumbass who lives.
I'll show you mine.
Studio room. You're just a dumbass who lives in the studio room.
Until you present your credentials, I'll present mine.
For TH's TV. Might be your water.
Present your credentials, and I'll present mine.
You know, I don't understand. You know, Black America have right to fight for their rights.
Present your credentials, and I'll present mine.
Don't come and be continuing to their rights. You're not a black American.
Now you're skipping away.
American. You're not a black American.
You asked me to present my credentials.
You're Costa Rica. Be in your Costa Rica territory.
Again.
Play your game there.
Again. Hola. Shut the fuck up. You made a challenge. Be a man.
I think this sums up America. You know, whereby black people cannot even talk. Everybody feel like they can talk over them. Everybody feel like they know over them.
Hola is an example of that.
You know, you be very assertive here. You be.
Hola is
when you're from a jungle. When you're from a jungle. You are from a jungle. Patos is chasing you there. You keep
again xenophobia. Sure.
You don't know nobody.
Hola.
You ask Kala, a black American, to shut up his mouth. That you want to teach him about his own history. Why this guy living the real history? You know, where the hell you are, bro? Where the fuck were you from?
Hola.
Come on, again. Man. I don't want to
You made a challenge. You made
get the fuck out of this place.
Hola. Yes, we know you like to talk a lot.
Yeah, man, get the fuck out of this place,
like
bro.
Okay.
You want to sound smart, but you're not smart. You say you're a lawyer. You say you are a lawyer. You say you are a lawyer, right?
Yeah. I'm here.
I would like to read something to the audience.
Okay, guys. Let me pass the mic to Cosmic. Then we gotta close out. Go ahead, Cosmic.
What's going on here?
Go ahead, Cosmic. You gotta close out.
All right. I would like to read something to Black Americans, right? And this is coming from USC Title 28, subsection 302, 15A. Look it up. Okay. A citizen under the 14th Amendment is a created legal entity subject to the United States. A corporation under Title 28, 3002, subsection 15, not the organic republic. They are persons, not people, and reside in federal territory, not on the land of the Union State. This status is presumed unless rebutted. The 14th Amendment did not create new rights, but created a new jurisdiction, a political and commercial status separate from the original Constitution. Full stop. Anyone using a social security number, IRS filing status, or federal ID is presumed to be acting as a 14th Amendment citizen. Look it up. So, my brothers, why are talking about this 14th Amendment? Understand it.
Okay, let me pass. Okay, guys, we're gonna go in and close out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.